person one is, and then one will generate, one will enter one of the three paths, depending on which type of lineage is awakened within the individual. So here, Mahayana, for if the Mahayana lineage is awakened, then the practitioner will then attain the complete enlightenment. If the solitary realizer lineage is awakened, then the practitioner will proceed to attain the liberation of the solitary realizer. And if the hearer lineage is awakened, then the practitioner will proceed to attain the liberation of a solitary realizer. So there are different ways in which a Mahayana lineage is awakened. Well, one necessary ingredient is faith, having a strong faith into the Mahayana path, into the Bodhisattva activities, and into the state of enlightenment and Buddhahood and all its qualities. And also the Mahayana lineage is awakened through the generation of a strong compassion for sentient beings. Faith can be generated in a variety of ways. So for example, when one contemplates the Four Noble Truths and realizes the validity, as one contemplates the truth of suffering and contemplates how it arises from the truth of origin, also starts realizing that they are cause and effect, and then also contemplating the truth of cessation, the existence of the truth of cessation, and how it comes about through practicing the path. And then also here, the path is the cause, and the truth of cessation is the attained effect. Then one realizes in such a way the validity of the Four Noble Truths. Then one will also generate very strong faith for the person who taught those Four Noble Truths, which is the Buddha. So one comes to realize that the Buddha is a valid being. By realizing the validity of the Four Noble Truths, one comes to realize that the Buddha is a valid being, and that what he taught is completely true, and in such a way then it generates a strong faith for the Buddha. And so this faith for the Buddha comes out of a realization that his teachings are true. At the time of the Buddha himself, when the Buddha was still present in that physical form, then his disciples, the people there, they could observe directly the activities of the Buddha and generate faith in such a way that when the Buddha performed his miraculous activities and so forth, it was for the purpose of generating faith in sentient beings' minds. This faith, which is generated by observing directly the qualities of the Buddha, is called the faith that arises from seeing. So the faith through seeing. So this faith alone is not enough in order to generate in order to awaken the Mahayana lineage. One needs to have the aspiring faith, and the type of faith that not only sees those qualities and believes in them, but the type of faith that wants to attain those qualities.
in some bandits, Jayan and Jalo Saints, saying Nicholas on the Jason, so the children the day when we come to my but then I have a thing in the Cabaret. In the Java singing Piago Shota. In the Java things, then call it Conholy authority. The thing in the Java today, the thing in the Java day. In the Java Shemi Taco, talk with you, Yambulo Shetason. To cool, Rongi the Nipperic singing to keep at it. Tombon in the long or sent the Rongi Madupare. Two changes to that. Red Taylor, Red Song in Jolo, Radio Runner. Sent the wrong to the Oma, Song in Jolo, read it. Say a song. There are two changes to that sent Nika Song is in the Sun. Song is going on Chama and then Tabatim Joseph. They said the news at Gold Jones. Then the Tabatim will read saying. Tabachim belongs to now you have to start with that. And the gender sever going to Hinji. Inside Hinji. Don't you sensing it to go at that? Tabachim belong, Cargo Sin. Don't you said the Hinji on which you will say Tabachim belong. There's a thing to Hinji on which you will say. Hinji showed you some bus at the end of it. There's a thing to send it. Dodgy. Dunga to Kui Dunga Yen, a wrong Dunga Nam Sanji, a wrong in a sign, a Yental body. That since you Yen them, not Duma the knowledge and send you to Duma Duma the time, Yen the Tenshapal Gaussian, a Yenda Shapal Gaussian, whatever you listen, Indian Yenda Shapal Gaussian. Things and Hinji to do it to Hinji Shiba. Yeah.
So by seeing the qualities of the object of refuge, seeing the qualities of the Buddha, then one generates a very strong faith. They're thinking that is something that I definitely have to attain. So then that sort of awakens the Mahayana lineage. In general, everyone has what's called the naturally abiding lineage. And so what is referred to as the naturally abiding lineage is are those aspects of one's being that actually can transform into one of the Buddha bodies. So, for example, everybody's mind is primordially pure. It is not one with the different obscurations and stains. So, therefore, this primordially pure mind can transform into the enlightened mind of a Buddha. So it is regarded as a naturally abiding lineage, and also likewise the emptiness of the mind. So by reflecting upon everyone has this naturally abiding lineage. So by reflecting upon the qualities of the state of enlightenment, then one generates this aspiring faith. They are definitely wanting to attain that state of enlightenment, and in such a way then one awakens the Mahayana lineage. This of course is also facilitated by compassion, or wanting to practice the Mahayana path out of compassion for sentient beings.
대신 sensi 공원 지금 아직 시작하는 이제 보니까 sensi가 연장이 연장 계속 되지 세는 때 제가 힘 자세 거는 대신 sensi 그런 점이 다들 대파 친구를 손이 좀 하고 좀 손이 공부생 타워 시작하라 농지 산으로 같이 투랑 탈세 부분도 있었다. 생기 나왔다. 내 세월을 가지고 있는 다. sensi tenju 나오지 이게 나진 시에반나 지어도다. 그러니까 레는 말아야니까 네 sensi 생기때 나오지 중심이라고 해서 대박진 거랑 중심이라고 sensi를 했어요. sensi 대신하는 거. 라친 시에반나 지어도다. 그런 뭐 교환이 받면서 양가 강가용 교환을 제통이 되는데 이제도 땡이라고 대박진 거 이제 땡이라고 거래도 이제 땡다 거래도 라진 시에반나 이제 자시 시에반 연바 소통 자시 시에반 생들 속에 대응 거 이제 시에반 들어가죠 땡다 거래도 돈이 건 센지 썼다고 이시 초동 생활 초 대강가 센지 진짜 놓이 차로를 센지 진짜 생일때 내가 좀 이렇게 연감 좀
and so the mind generation of bodhicitta is the source of the Mahayana path and is the basis of engaging into the great ways of the Bodhisattva trainings and is sort of like the we call it like the philosopher's stone that transforms all practices into the gold of the true accumulations. So first of all, the bodhicitta is that which so the bodhicitta is the is the source of the like entrance to the Mahayana path, the field on which the Mahayana path grows. And it is the basis for the great ways of the Bodhisattva practices.
senji tsadabare, senji tsadabare sengi pengenze chebaje drone. Also tongram mo se de je de tane ngonglo de tar sengi no ma. Ichete mo bo to zone ti sengi po sengi ta sengi. Senji tsadabare senji tsadabare pengenze chebaje tane. Tene also tongram mo se de je to pengenze tu. 이 자식 시에바 전주 생생이 되는 그런 그냥 시대기 쭉 가면 저는 쭉 받아보고 싶었는데 쭉 마음먹게 또 이제 또 다시 마음먹고 또
bodhicitta is also that which transforms the old one's merits into the two accumulations. The two accumulations are the accumulation of merits and the accumulation of wisdom, and it does it in the same way as there is like a magical transformation into gold that can happen through the power of concentration. And so here likewise, similar to this magical transformation into gold through the power of concentration, then also the bodhicitta can transform all of one's merits into the two accumulations. And so we have this magical transformation of iron into gold through the force of a single-pointed concentration. And so that's of course we would all like to do it, but first one has to attain single-pointed concentration. And so similarly, the bodhicitta transforms all of one's ordinary virtues into causes for enlightenment. So it transforms all of one's ordinary virtues into the two accumulations. Bodhicitta is the treasure. It's the treasure in which all supreme merits are contained. So then, being aware of all those benefits, the courageous bodhisattvas then hold this very dearly in their mind, this supreme, precious mind of bodhicitta.
Okay. In the saying the in a Tepadi, Jane Roll and John Roy in it. Yapu is that Indiana, Union do Rotten sheep. The internet said you don't know Nazi Chile, you can do Nazi Chile, sent around Nazi hero. She chung wrong and on condition, even doing wrong coin on condition. That then remember 20 here there, 20 doing a wrong thing of son of Toyota. Wrong people remember since you touch it, doing what they ever tap on. Since you touch it, doing what they ever son of wrong doing a Monday, and since you touch it, don't Monday or keep him back. Since you touch it, don't Monday. It's a wrong yet, the tail don't want to change since you touch it, Mumbola. I didn't do the one to join us on the 27th. I can't say. 27 color tomboni, Rola Cambasena, Royal Cambasage to Colon to Hero. Into that, sitting down, Ninji Skin. Into the song to sensing it together. In the same Gender the dog should do about something sensitive in the country cinema. Jan the dancing, Jansen to do one no Mizia Panishi. Mizia Pinji only sent it to the Doman Luan de Bati. Lua the wrong cheap Lua Sound and the Lua Del. Till the present time, something sensing, yeah.
And so while those paths that concern themselves with individual liberation are of course also are very good and are useful, a mind practitioner then or extends one's mind further. We are thinking that just as oneself is experiencing the sufferings of a cyclic existence, so are all other other sentient beings, realizing that all other sentient beings that are in cyclic existence are experiencing exactly the same sufferings as oneself, and then also realizing that they have been one's mother, realizing that they have been very kind to oneself, and then making the determination to repay that kindness, and then generating compassion for those sentient beings, realizing their situation, realizing their sufferings, and also generating what is called affectionate love for those sentient beings, generating the motivation to establish them in happiness and to free them from their suffering. Then taking upon oneself this responsibility, making it one's personal responsibility to free all sentient beings from their sufferings and to establish them in happiness. Then, upon having taken it, upon having taken it upon oneself to liberate all sentient beings from their sufferings, then the practitioner investigates whether at the present time they have the actual ability to do so, to bring that about. Then realizing that at the present time they don't have this ability, that they don't even have the capacity to barely help themselves. Then they look where such an ability is present, and then they realize that it is present only in the continuum of an enlightened being. Then they generate a wish to become enlightened themselves. So then that thought, so then the sort of the primary consciousness that is concomitant with that wish, wanting to attain enlightenment in order to be able to achieve one's aim of liberating all sentient beings, that is political.
wrong from the spirit. Yendi, Yendi, you know, since Yen don't have to look from the common hearing somebody in Jing did it. Teacher, me, none of them to become Thomas in Yaron hearing some good. What did that? Changing the money did it. Changing money, no doubt to be shown to tell them where you got them and take it here. Yeah.
So as it is stated in the ornament of the clear realization, the mind generation is for the purpose of the wish to attain a complete enlightenment for the purpose of the welfare of others. And so here one has two features: the wish to attain a complete enlightenment, and then the wish to accomplish the welfare of other sentient beings. And bodhicitta has to be characterized by those two features. And then on the one hand, one wants to attain a complete enlightenment, realizing, first of all, one has the wish to benefit all sentient beings. So the bodhicitta has to be preceded by the root of compassion. One wants to accomplish the welfare of sentient beings, and then when one asks oneself how one can possibly accomplish the welfare of sentient beings, and one realizes that at the present time one doesn't have the ability to accomplish the welfare of sentient beings, then we're looking for where or who has such an ability. One comes to realize that an enlightened being, only an enlightened being has that capacity fully. So then one naturally wants to generates the wish, wanting to attain that enlightenment, so that one can achieve one's aim of accomplishing the welfare of all sentient beings.
Long reduction to 20 goes long. Then, has something in the long game that country. She just wanted to depend on Jimmy Positive Robert Singing and doing on the sitting in the Tundama. That in a man called me and got him by saying from the Jinzata. Soon you won't do some before the Tower and say it from the Pay. If I shoot him with pen, then you are my master. Lojo Tandi Lotian. Lo opinion to be sensing to you.
The wish to attain complete enlightenment. So here it is a personal wish. For example, the wish wanting to establish all sentient beings in enlightenment, and that is not bodhicitta. So a bodhicitta is really the wish for one's personal enlightenment. And why one doesn't want to attain this personal enlightenment is because one wants to accomplish the welfare of all sentient beings.
Yeah. Right.